Yeah, so to get things started, like Steve was saying, we're going to start off by talking about the Clark County, Nevada sale here. We like to review sales both before they're happening here and after. We like to look at the auctions beforehand, and then we also like to look and take. Sometimes we like to dissect auctions after they happen, see what kinds of deals happen, and what were good deals, what were bad deals here in it. Let's talk a little bit about Nevada, because I think it's a state that confuses some people. Um, it is really, it makes more sense if you just look at most of Nevada as being a tax deed state, just because that's how it operates for the most part. But they also do sell different kinds of liens, like special assessment liens and things like that in certain places. Also some of the larger counties, can sell liens as well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, in those counties, they're still going to have property taxes, but in some of these areas, some of these cities, they have these special assessment taxes for putting in new roads or different things like that, sidewalks. And so they'll have to pay a lien on that, or if they don't pay those, it's a type of tax, they'll get a lien placed against it, which has foreclosure power just like any other type of lien. So like Shade said, most of the state's really a tax deed state, but there is places like in Las Vegas, Reno, a couple of different other areas throughout there where they will sell these taxing certificates. But like we said, most of the state's going to be tax deed. They're going to use a premium bid system, and the opening bid is going to start at the back taxes, penalties, and fees.
Yeah, now I think you can probably just take over the share. I think, Steve, do you want? Unless I need to
Okay,
hand
let
it
me
off
go
to you.
ahead and do that. Okay. So what we're going to look at is we're going to look at the Clark County sale. So we can see the sale took place on May 7th, 2026. And here we have a list of the different properties that are available on this list. So the first one we're going to look at is just this one. It's kind of random. You can see a bunch of these are actually properties that sold for $1,200, $2,000, and some of these are pieces of land that have value of between 20, yeah, between 15 to 25 grand. So there was some different deals that were picked up, but this one here is just a piece of 10-acre land. Well, I got 9.24. It's actually located right here, so it's actually kind of out in the middle of nowhere to a degree, though you do have roads going out there, and you can kind of see there's kind of a dirt road surrounding those 10 acres right here.
Oh, that's interesting. It's picked up for $4,900. Is that it?
Yeah, it was picked up for 4,900. Not sure why the map it's not showing it anymore, but it's right there. So here's what's kind of interesting is that they already have the property for sale for 78,000 right now. So they're currently they picked it up for 4,900, and they've already got it for sale, listed for sale. This auction happened in May, and they're posted it for 78 grand.
Yeah, which that if they can get it sold at that price, that's an excellent return. I
Yeah,
wonder if
well,
they've
even
looked
if
at comps here.
yeah. I mean, here's one. This is 20 acres, but they're listing it for about 200,000.
Oh yeah, so I
So
guess they are competitively priced here. It's looking for a buyer, but at $4,500 though, I mean, they are going to make a ton of money on that deal. That they'll probably make north of 50,000 on it.
yeah, well, I mean, even if they go ahead and sell it for 40 grand, and they picked it up for 4,900, you're still looking at a pretty good deal.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
Next one we're going to look at is this one right here. Here's kind of the details about it. We can look and see.
It sold for 300.
Yeah, it's over 300. It's this house right here. So it's this home. and you can see it valued at about 460. Here's a couple of comps that are within this same neighborhood. So this one here sold for 490. This one sold for 555. Now these might be a little bit better than this house, but they're all within the same neighborhood, you know, pretty close to the same size as well. So, they're estimating at 460. It could probably be worth between 460 to 500, maybe less than that. And so they definitely paid up for it, paying 300,000 for it and leaving themselves about maybe between 160 to $200,000 of potential profit. If it's still in this kind of condition, and you can see that these are kind of, some more recent photos, then I think that they have a chance to probably make over 100,000 on it.
Yeah, it would be it seems like a perfect candidate there for a rehab. And it was built in what, like 93, and it's about time, for kind of a remodel there on it. It'd probably be great for remodel and turn around and sell it. Yeah. So really, at 300,000, they did pay up, but there's potential with that property to make a couple 100,000 on it.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Well, and it looks like it's in pretty good shape. I mean, this photo is about a year old, a little over that, but it seemed to be in pretty good shape. So they definitely, I mean, they didn't get it for cheap, but will they make money on it? Probably.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and they probably had to pay up in order to win the property there.
Yeah.
But at the same time, though, they're going to be able to make a couple 100,000 on it. And so, yeah, I mean, that was what the competition was willing to bid up, because there are probably other people trying to do the same thing.
Yeah, well, all of these nicer homes they had to pay up for. In fact, we're going to look at some 2025 sales where we can actually see the full flips done and kind of break down the profit margins. But these nicer homes, they definitely paid up for. I think some of the best deals may have been something like this $7,800. That could be a nice building lot located within Las Vegas. As I was going through here and looking at some of this land, it was actually probably some of the better deals as far as what they were able to pick it up for. But overall, you can see why they were willing to pay, because these are newer properties in nicer neighborhoods and probably cheaper than you're going to be able to get that any other way. So
Yeah.
this one they actually paid 390 for. This property right there.
Yeah. It looks like
Oh,
it's certainly newer, built in 92
yeah,
as well.
yeah. Oh shoot. Let me go
Yeah, they
back.
really paid up for this one.
Yeah. What was kind of interesting is here's a couple of the exact same properties, because what happened is this dropped after the sale. They dropped this Zillow value down. I've kind of noticed that with Redfin and some of these. That sale drags the price of it down because it sold for cheaper, but they definitely paid up for it. Here's one that's kind of similar, sold for 532. Here's one that sold for 557. These are pretty much the same units in the same area, but paying 390, they definitely, I kind of wanted to go through the results, good and bad, and kind of see what people were willing to do.
Yeah, that is interesting. Well, and it's a different kind of a property deal, but then, yeah, I can see what you mean though too, with the land being in a lot of ways some of the most appealing properties, because they didn't cost that much, and there's a ton of profitability, in the land. A lot of those lands have in excess of $50,000 of potential profitability.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, here's a piece of land right here. Here we can see some of the information on it. Oh, wait a second, right here. It's this lot right here. Valuing it at, here they're Zillow valuing it at 61. Here's one that's right next to it for sale for 60. This one was the cheaper one I could find, and it was farther away. This one here is pretty close to the road. If we look at it, you can kind of see it right here, and they've got the dirt road right here, and it's this lot between these two homes right here. So
This
you're
is
really pretty close to, where you can see apartments and things like that. And then you have some of the homes down here, and somebody's even kind of already starting to build out there a little bit. But as far as a potential future development or something like that, or a lot that you can hold on to for 16 grand, let's say they turn around and sell it for 40, even as is, or wholesale, they could probably still make a quick flip on it.
yeah, I could totally see that. Yeah, the county's estimating it there like 78,000.
Yeah.
Boy, that's kind of, if you think about it, the county is kind of overestimating. They're overestimating their numbers a bit there. Because there's a chance maybe you could turn around and sell the property here for 50,000. I mean at 60,000, you're pushing it. But for them to take the same property and say it's worth 78, or 80,000, it's pretty rich.
Yeah. Well, and you know, that probably is overassessed. I just looked at kind of the cheapest stuff within the area that I could come up with, kind of thinking as an as-is strategy. But it could
Yeah,
definitely be worth, looking into that if you were the owner trying to get the property taxes lower.
yeah.
This one here ended up selling for 26,000. It's actually this lot located right here. And some of these areas, there's quite a few of these areas are in here where they'll allow you to have mobile homes or manufactured homes. And so you can see you've kind of got the straight lot there.
Well, and you can see all the construction happening right behind there, for like more condensed housing. I mean, they've
Yeah.
got all kind of condensed housing there. So certainly there's a lot of housing there. That would be a good place to have a rental.
Well, you can see that they picked it up for 26,000 and they're actually selling it right now for 99,000. So they're
Yeah. Oh yeah.
selling it for 100,000, zoned for a single family or mobile home, so they picked it up for 26,000. They're looking, hey, if we can make 70 grand off of it, uh, you know, uh, that's going to be a good return for us. So that's where I was talking about a lot of these. I just looked at a few of them randomly. I think that a ton of the very quickest and the cheapest deals that people could pick up is some of this land in Las Vegas, because there's some in this land that's worth $200,000 or $300,000 for a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so far the profitability on all the land has looked really pretty good. I mean, in terms of, looks like they're going to, every piece of land we've looked at, people are making high rates of return. Even that one right there, 25,000, and having it listed for 100,000 is a pretty good overall return flip, way to turn your money from
Yeah.
25,000 into 99.
This next one was picked up for 161,000, and it's kind of this unit right here, this house right here. So you can kind of see it's actually, first I was thinking that it was both of them, both of these units, but it's just kind of this unit right here.
So it's like
They're
half of a
valuing,
duplex.
yeah, that's essentially what it is. It's a twin house to a degree, um, valued at 303. So they kind of paid up for this one as well. There's about $160,000 worth of profit. The way I look at it is if they put 60 grand into it, there's still 100 grand that they can make on it.
Yeah, they are kind of similar deals in that way, that they would be probably in both cases, good rehab projects there that you could make some decent money on.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of those results look pretty good though. I mean, at least in terms of what they've paid and what properties are valued at, or what they currently have them listed at, they're definitely.
Yeah, well, and if you were to break down all these land deals, there was some pretty good ones there. Anyone that had an address seemed to kind of get a premium to a degree, but these are all on streets, or at least many of them are. So this one sold for 49,000. It's actually this lot right here. You can see it's 2 acres. Located right here. So you do have, homes out here in this area. They're estimating it valued at 144,000. This one here is right next to it. They're sold for 150,000. So I think, this is probably pretty close between 140 to 150,000. They ended up spending up and picking out for 49,000, but they're probably still looking to make 80 to 100 grand on it.
Yeah, that seems like a pretty good deal. I mean, they picking it up for 49 and having it sold here for 150 not too much longer or later, it's not bad.
Yeah, we'll look at one more on this list here. We'll look at this one here on Spring Road, sold for 25,000. Some ways you can see, why it got a cheaper price though. And part of that has to do with you kind of look at that yard. There's
Oh my goodness.
quite a bunch of
Yeah, it's a cleanup project.
yeah. So you definitely got. I can't go to that close, I guess. You definitely have a bit of a cleanup project there, but a lot of it just kind of looks like you could like antiques and stuff like that. You have a big, huge estate sale. But anyway, it's kind of this one right here, valuing it about 180. So you can kind of see why somebody was willing to pay down for it. But homes in this area are kind of between 180, 200,000. Some of these like that are probably going to be worth more than that.
Well, and imagine if you're looking at the same property and it's cleared out, minus all of this stuff, it would be completely different, and then
Yeah,
you
I
could
mean, if
start
it
to,
looked like
kind of,
that,
yeah, yeah, exactly. If it looked like that, then suddenly the $25,000 price tag, that you paid for it, totally changes. And this looks like a deal, that somebody's going to make north of 150,000 on.
yeah, I think there's going to be more profit in it. I mean, you're going to have to spend some time clearing that out, but maybe the owner will go ahead and clear it out, because it's going to have some value to them. If not, there could be some things that could be worth selling.
Yeah.
So now what we're going to do is we're going to look at a couple of properties from 2025 sales. So we're going to look at this first one here that sold for 280. It's this house right here, and you can kind of see here, this was from February 2025. So this was 2 months before the sale, because the sale would have been in May 2025. You can actually see from here that the property's actually been cleaned up quite a bit. And here it's currently for sale for 535. So they paid 280 for it. Let's say they put 100 grand into it, so they're into it 380. And maybe it didn't cost that much, maybe it did, but they're into it 380, 45. They're looking to make 150,000 on it, and it's pending, so it's got an offer on it.
Yeah, look at the photos. I want to see to what level they brought the inside up to. I
They
mean,
made
built in
it pretty
70,
nice.
yeah, that does look pretty
But
good.
you can see it was done at the same time nice but simple. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a pretty simple kitchen. Maybe they just painted those, maybe they added new ones on there. This is
Yeah.
probably,
Yeah, it looks like they did a complete remodel on it.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a good project though.
Yeah. Well, and it's kind of interesting to see what they paid for it. And, they've got it pretty much sold now. at 530, but I would think that they definitely made over 100 grand on it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and they certainly paid up a bit for it too. And at least all things considered. But yeah, I think there's a lot of people though they're looking for for those kinds of projects and work and that way to also to make some money.
Yeah, this one here they paid 185 for. And it's kind of interesting because a lot of these have all been redone. So if you look at it right here, this is, I believe that,
It's a
yeah.
place that's kind of buried.
Yeah, it's this place right here. And, here's what it looks like now.
Oh, interesting. It just sold. Look at that. So did they have the exterior done? And you can see that it's painted there. It has a new roof, it looks like.
Yeah. They kind of talk about what they did here. But
Yeah,
it is
1,400 square
interesting to
feet.
see the turnaround. Here's what it looks like then, and there's what it looked like at the time. So you can see how just cleaning that up, tearing this out, and obviously
Yeah,
putting some
yeah, they
money
got
into.
rid of the trees there, the big giant trees.
But that flooring was probably affordable to a degree.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'll bet a lot of the house inside there was pretty affordable. So they paid 100 and
Paid 185, and they sold it for 380.
so yeah, about 200,000 it.
Yeah, I think another 100,000 on that deal, I would say, and that's giving them a lot to rehab it with, and it looks like they did a decent job. This one sold for 231. You can see how that thing boarded up at the time, but not overall too bad of an area. And here they
Yeah,
sold
nice
it for
neighborhood.
425.
Oh
So
wow.
all of these people that bought the homes came in, rehabbed them, gave them a whole new look, and put them onto the market. That's I thought was kind of interesting is going back and seeing, what they've done over that time.
Yeah, that is interesting. Yeah, another one there where there's about $250,000 difference here. I wonder how much money they put into doing it.
Even if they put 150, they still made 100 grand on it.
Yeah,
And 150 could do a lot. That's a lot of money to do a
yeah.
rehab. So let's say
And if
that
they put
they,
100 into it, then they made 150 on it.
yeah, exactly. And they could have put 100 into it. I mean, if the structure was sound, if the sheetrock was sound, all of that kind of stuff, then this is really, cosmetic stuff. Where the real cost can come in is if you've got to rewire the entire house or something like that that could cost you 30 grand. If we're just pretty much, you know, sprucing up the paint, putting in new carpet, adding, some baths, cleaning up the kitchen, then and structurally it's sound, that's going to make it more profitable for you.
Yeah, it looks like they updated the windows on it too. Looks like they threw in new windows and new trim, new. I mean, the interior looks all new, So yeah, they probably.
They kind of tell us here new glass doors. There's your new windows.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, they might have been into it 150.
it turned out nice.
Yeah. This one here they bought for 160. A little bit rough. You can see this is from January 2026, and they've got this cleaning out. I was almost kind of wondering if they're in the process of uh, fixing it up. So value at 313. So they paid pretty much half price on it. We'll look at just a couple more. This one started at five. This one ended up selling for 508,000.
Some of these people are more daring than we are. I mean, at least I couldn't imagine us paying 50% of value for, some of these properties that need that kind of work. At least with most auctions, we would be scared off by these prices.
Yeah, yeah, I thought it was kind of interesting. I mean, they definitely went higher than we would have went. In looking over them, I think that most of those deals, most of the home deals, probably made at least 70 grand to 100 grand.
Yeah, yeah,
Even considering the level of rehab that was done on it. This
yeah.
one here sold for 508,000,
Whoa,
but
what is it?
it's actually it's a condo here in this
Oh,
complex right
really?
here, and they sold it for 760. So
Oh, interesting.
they ended up paying 508 for it. So they paid 508. They sold it for 760, but I don't think they had to do a whole lot of work on it. I mean, I think they upgraded the appliances,
Yeah, it's pretty much
but they
like it's
don't they
been
don't
built.
talk they don't talk about repainting everything or anything. They talk about what was kind of already there.
Well, it was nice in 2006, when they did it. It's probably similar to what it was then.
Yeah,
Probably
so
hasn't gone through and done a real remodel yet.
I think they just came in and cleaned it up. They, showed it to be able to sell it, and then they sold it for 755. So they could have made almost 250 grand on it. I mean, let's say they spent 50,000, they'd still make 200 grand on it.
Yeah,
It's an expensive
yeah,
property. I mean, they paid 500 grand for it, but you're talking about Vegas. This is an incredibly competitive market.
yeah.
And we'll look at this last one for 212.
Yeah, I mean, really, this is as competitive as you'll see in any place, pretty much, in terms of like what people are paying for for properties, and they're still profitable, at those prices. That's what's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. This is another, kind of condo unit. We see is picked up for 212 and they sold it for 275. So this one, they picked it up for 212. Let's say that they were into it 3 grand clearing the title, and it doesn't talk about changing anything. It kind of just I think that a condo like this is probably isn't something that somebody needs to do a major rehab on. And I don't
Yeah,
think that they needed to. I think it was kind of as is.
looks like a hotel room, huh?
It does. It totally does. So they maybe
That's
made
funny.
50 grand, 60 grand on it.
Yeah,
But
that's funny. But
anyway,
still, yeah, not a bad purchase. I mean, they still made money on it and probably didn't have to do anything to change it.
yeah, well, and like we talked about, I think some of the best deals were probably in some of these land purchases. I mean, these, as far as that percentage of value, some of these homes are probably make 100 grand on doing the flip for it, and that's probably a great margin compared to trying to find that type of profit margin just picking up on market deals. But I think some of these people that picked up some of these lots for 5 or 10 grand probably were able to make a good, 30 or 40, $50,000 on them.
Yeah, I wonder about some of those that paid like 2 or 3 thousand. Those were equally as good.
Yeah, some of them, I mean, there's going to be some junk land, but some of these would be like an acre lot out near that first 10-acre lot that we looked at.
Oh yeah.
And so, those are the ones that were kind of selling between 10 to 15 grand.
Oh, interesting. Looking at past results of sales is always interesting, especially when you're looking year over year.